that impending marriage, I tell you. What marriage? Oh, I thought you knew. Why, the marriage Mrs. Levi is arranging between Mr. Horace Vandergelder, the well-known young happy millionaire, and my employer and friend, Mrs. Irene Malloy. Although, if you ask me, he'll never take the place of her late husband, Mr. Peter Malloy. May he rest in peace wherever he is, I'm not sure. He was a caution, you know. Oh, it's all too much with what late husbands and new marriages and on top of everything else. Miss Mortimer, returning this hat for the 3rd time. Same old story. She wants more cherries and feathers. Cherries and feathers! To, catch a boa, I suppose. Although, if you ask me, she'd do better with a nice, heavy veil. I told her, ribbons down our back is what we'll be wearing this summer, if we want to catch a gentleman's eye, but she'd have none of it. Cherries and feathers she wants. Not today of all days, when that poor, dear, sweet Mrs. Malloy has enough on her mind, what with...
With what, Minnie?
With the door, it's stuck.
Well, it's open, but then push.
And as I was saying, Mrs. Malloy, I could bite out my tongue for the things I've said. And the things I'm going to say. But as long as we've gone this far, I might as well go all the way. Mrs. Malloy, why?
Say it, Minnie. Why have I decided to marry Horace Vandergelder?
Mrs. Malloy, I didn't ask you that. I would rather die on the rack than ask you such a personal question. But since you did bring it up...
I'm marrying Horace Vandergelder for one reason, and one reason alone, Minnie. To get away from the millinery business. I hate hats.
Mrs. Malloy!
And I can no longer stand being suspected of being a wicked woman with nothing to show for it.
Oh, Mrs. Malloy.
Don't protest, Minnie. All millineresses are suspected of being wicked women. That's why I can't go into restaurants or balls or theaters. That's all the proof they need. Take my word for it, Minnie. Either I marry Horace Vandergelder, or I break out of this place like a fire engine. Oh, no. Not Miss Mortimer again.
Miss Mortimer, I'll take care of it.
No, Minnie. Leave it be. You can make another hat for Miss Mortimer if you like. I'm wearing this one myself.
Mrs. Malloy, you can't. You're a widow, and that hat, well, it's provocative, that's what.
Is it, Minnie? Well, who knows who may walk into the shop today, and provocative may be what I want to be.
Mrs. Malloy!
I'll be wearing ribbons down my back this summer. Blue and green and streaming in the yellow sky. So if someone special comes my way this summer, and so I'll try to make it easier to find me in the stillness of July, because a breeze might stir a rainbow behind me that might happen to catch a gentleman's eye, and he might smile and take me by the hand this summer, making me recall how lovely love can be. And so I will proudly wear ribbons down my back, shiny
Mrs. Malloy, wild horses couldn't make me ask this next question I'm about to ask you. But I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you love Horace Vandergelder?
No, Minnie, I don't. Peter Malloy, God rest him, was my only share of love. And I'm not saying I was shortchanged, but once is enough for a woman as long as it's true love. And it was that. Minnie, look! There's two men staring at the shop. Men? Why, I do believe they need to come in here. Men? In the shop? Oh, Mrs. Malloy, what will we do? Do? Why, flirt with them, of course. I'll give you the short one.
Mrs. Malloy, and you with all that talk about love.
Love enough I had, Minnie. It's a bit of venture I could do with now. We'll get them all heated up and then drop them cold. It'll be perfect practice for married life. Now you go into the workroom, Minnie. I know some ways we can perk our appearances. Besides, it'll only make them nervous and easy for us too.
If you say vamp, I'll scream.
Vamp. Ah! And I'll try to make it easier to find me in the stillness of July, because a breeze might stir a rainbow behind me that might happen to catch a gentleman's eye. Oh, Minnie, we'll get an adventure out of this yet.
We'll get an adventure out of this yet, Barnaby. All day long we wander around New York and nothing happens. Then we come to the quietest street in the city and suddenly...
Vandergelder!
Is he still out there? Go look.
He's sitting on that bench, Cornelius. Hey, Cornelius, are you sure this is an adventure?
You don't have to ask, Barnaby. When you're in one, you'll know it, all right. How much money have you got?
Not much. Why? I got 40 cents for the train back home, 30 cents for dinner, and 20 cents to see the whale. 90 cents. Why?
When those women come in, we'll have to pretend to be customers. Customers, that's it! Maybe the best thing to do is to make them think we're rich. Then we won't have to spend anything. We're two men about town looking for hats for ladies. Good afternoon, Mrs.
Malloy.
Oh, here, Cornelius Hackle.
Here, Barnaby Tucker.
My pleasure, gentlemen. Now what can I do for you?
Oh, well, you see,
For hats.
we're two ladies about town.
We wanted to buy a lady or two.
Looking for some hats to Malloy.
To Malloy with.
And we wondered if... We'd like a hat. For a lady, of course. And everyone said go to Mrs. Malloy's because she's so pretty. Her hats. Her hats are so pretty and
so reasonable, too. As reasonable as under $1, which will leave us enough to see the whale.
Oh, you've got to pay him no mind, ma'am. He's come all the way from Yonkers to see the stuffed whale, and he's all excited. Barnaby, keep an eye on that window. Maybe you'll see it pass by.
Is it big and black with little red eyes?
Yes.
It's sitting on that bench, Cornelius.
Excuse me, but did you say Yonkers, Mr. Hackle?
Oh, yes, ma'am, Yonkers. And forgive me for saying this, but you should see Yonkers. And by that I mean, perhaps Mr. Malloy would like to see Yonkers too?
Oh, I'm a widow, Mr. Hackle.
You are. Barnaby, she's a widow. Oh, that's too bad. I'm sure Mr. Malloy would have enjoyed Yonkers, especially in that hat. I mean, on you, of course, not Mr. Malloy. May he rest in peace. You're Catholic, aren't you? Well, don't let that worry you. I'd be willing to change. Mrs. Malloy, if you should ever happen to have a Sunday free in the near future, I'd be more than glad to show you Yonkers from top to bottom.
Well, I might be there sooner than you think, Mr. Hackle.
Oh, really?
You see, I have a friend who lives in Yonkers.
Do you?
Perhaps you know him?
Perhaps we do.
Oh, it's always so foolish to ask in cases like that, isn't it? It's Mr. Vandergelder.
Horace? Vandergelder?
Vandergelder's hay and feed.
Do you know him?
No! Oh, no!